You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith. Hey there, friends. Today is Thursday, April 18th, 2019. Today is Good Thursday, Holy Thursday, the day that we celebrate the institution of the Eucharist that Jesus gave us at the Last Supper. Now, we have been spending the last couple days really breaking down the beautiful parts of the Holy Thursday service. But right now, I want to remind you of all that happened on this day before Jesus was crucified. And if you think a lot happened, well, you're right. Here is the list of what happened today. So first of all, Jesus sent Peter and John to arrange for them to use the upper room where they will have the Passover meal. Once they get there, Jesus washes the apostles' feet, and then he held the first Mass. And at this, he instituted the priesthood, he instituted the Eucharist, and he gave them a new command to love one another. He also at this meal announced that Peter would deny him. He held many conversations here, and they're recorded in several chapters of the Gospel of John. He led his followers in singing a hymn. After they were done there, they left. They went to the Mount of Olives, where Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, and we know that he suffered through the agony in the garden. It was late by this point, and his apostles that were with him were very tired. Although Jesus begged them to stay awake with him, they kept falling asleep. Also, this is the night, tonight is when Judas came to betray Jesus. He arrived with armed guards from the high priest. When they arrived, Jesus stopped his disciples from attacking them. We know that one of the apostles had a sword with him and that he used it to cut off the ear of one of the high priest's servants. But Jesus reached out and healed the ear. Of course, this is also the night when Jesus was taken to the high priest and he was questioned at night, so very, very late at night. Late at night also, Peter stood out in the courtyard and denied Jesus. All of this happened this night. And Jesus was taken before Pilate at the very wee hours of the morning. We know that Jesus arrived to be questioned by Pilate very early in the morning on Friday. So all of this happens. Of course, Jesus does not sleep tonight. He goes into all of the events of the crucifixion with no rest. And all of these things happen to set up what happens tomorrow on the cross. Now, I want to talk about just one small thing. Hopefully you have a plan to go and attend Holy Thursday services tonight at your parish. While you are there, you will see the priest wash the feet of parishioners. You will see the commemoration of the institution of the Eucharist. And also, at the end of Mass, something very unusual will happen. The Eucharist will be taken from the church. And in most places, there is a procession that leads the entire congregation out of the church. We follow the Eucharist, which the priest will be carrying with great reverence, to another place. Oftentimes, the church hall will have a small tabernacle placed in it, or a side room, or a side chapel, but you will go to a separate place outside of your church. You will process there. The priest will perhaps lead you in some small prayers. You'll be doing some solemn singing, and the Eucharist will remain there in that separate altar. Now, why is this? Well, this is because Jesus left the Passover meal and went to pray at the Garden of Gethsemane. He went to a separate place, and what did he ask his apostles to do? He asked them to stay with him and pray. And although they fell asleep, they didn't know really what was coming. We do know what is coming, and we wish to do for Jesus what he asked his apostles to do. We wish to spend tonight with him, supporting him, praying with him. For this reason, most parishes allow people to stay all through the night to pray with Jesus in the tabernacle. This might seem a little bit strange, but remember, we believe that Jesus is as present in each and every parish that has the consecrated body and blood of Jesus in the Eucharist, that he is as present, as real there as he was that night in the Garden of Gethsemane. He begged his apostles to be with him and pray, and he begs you to do that too. So after services tonight, follow the procession and pray with Jesus in the tabernacle. And then if you are old enough, if you are willing, or maybe just keep this in mind for future years when you are older, return at night to pray with Jesus. Remember, he was up this entire night praying and suffering, and then being taken before the high priest where he was abused and hit and accused falsely. Jesus did not sleep tonight. And although you should sleep tonight, it might be good to give Jesus a little bit of time of your sleep and sit with him while he goes through the agony in the garden. That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God intended you to be. And finally, a quick note to the grown-ups. First of all, thank you for listening to the Catholic Sprouts podcast. I ask that you please consider sharing this podcast with another Catholic family you know. Send them an email, a text, or simply mention it the next time you see them. Please join me in the mission of helping each Catholic child truly sprout into the wonderful human that God created them to be.